Coming to you live from Studio 6 in Seattle, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side. With leading edge topics, along with special co-hosts to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that's going to make you go, Now sit back, raise a glass, and welcome to TechTime Radio with your host, Nathan Mumm. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, Technology news of the week for October 4th through the 10th, 2020. This is episode 17. I'm Nathan Mumm, and on today's show, we are excited to have our two core segments, Protect Yourself Today and our top stories in 5 minutes, along with Nathan's Nugget. And on today's episode of TechTime Radio, we are going to be talking about cinemas across the U.S. and U.K. closing.
Oh.
So this is a big deal right now. We're going to have
That's horrible.
We're going to talk about some alternatives that may not be as depressing, okay? Because I'm very depressed, and we'll have to talk about that when we get to the lead story, okay? We also have an official station for TechTime Radio, so we talked a little bit about that. So we are going to be in the Seattle market on 1150 KKNW.
KKNW.
We will be on Saturdays live from 4 to 5 p.m., and then we will have a rebroadcast Thursday morning drive time, which is really important. That's Wednesday and Thursday are the best two drive times to grab if you can. Friday's the worst probably because everybody leaves early. Nobody's working.
Nobody works on Friday.
So it's a half day. So the drive time's at noon. And so we're also going to do our live streams on YouTube. So that's going to be interesting. They're going to see a whole new side of us.
That's horrible.
That's horrible? Why is that horrible?
We're sitting here together doing this, right?
Yeah.
So you already know why that's horrible.
So that's going to be very entertaining. That'll be like...
Maybe.
That'll be... absolutely. What we say off the air is way more entertaining than...
Off the
cuff, that's right. We have, of course, our inspirational segment that we call Mike's Mesmerizing Moments.
Yeah.
And we got our whiskey tastings to see if our whiskey gets a 1 chew or 0 thumbs up in our pick of the day. Mm-hmm. Make sure to listen all the way through the episode for a way to sign up and learn about some cool prizes and giveaways that we're going to be having coming on up. And, of course, to pick up a few things that make you go, All right, Mike. It's the best part of the day when we start out with our loaded question of the day.
Oh, goody.
Here it is for you. Oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. If you ran for president, who would be your running mate? If I ran for president.
Alf.
Alf, the alien Alf?
Yeah. At this point, that seems like the perfect person to have as my running mate.
I wasn't allowed to watch Alf as a little kid, so I've watched it as a little bit later in my life, but I didn't quite get the whole Alf phenomenon when it was happening. But were you in that Alf phenomenon?
Not really.
Okay.
But that's how my brain works. That was the first thing that popped into my head.
First thing that popped in.
Yeah.
An alien.
Because, look at all the other crazy weird stuff that's going on right now, and it would just be perfect to have.
You'd probably win if you ran right now against.
I'm telling you,
you got Clown Man and you got Mr. I can't remember my memory guy. You ran against them both, and you guys would be perfect.
Yeah,
right?
I'm old enough, so at least that counts.
At least that counts.
Yeah.
All right, so that was our loaded question of the day. That's perfect. All right, let's get our episode started off with our top stories in the first 5 minutes, saving it right out of the box. What's happening in technology? Nathan's top stories in the first 5 minutes. Welcome to the top stories in 5 minutes. Let's start our timer and get things going. All right, here we go. 5 minutes on the clock. Story number 1, Facebook.
Oh my God.
Facebook to launch mental health portal to connect users to info and support. How do you, here we go. Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger will also get new tools to help support users' emotional health during the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Is this like the stopping political ads a week before the election? Is that
so? How do you feel? I mean, you're kind of in this. How do you feel about Facebook launching a mental health portal?
So the nice politically correct thing to say is, hey, that's great that they're doing that.
Yep.
But are you sure? Are you kidding? Right?
I'm dead serious that they're doing this.
No, I mean it looks like they're taking responsibility for things, but they have been a part and parcel to contributing to all the mental health problems in our society.
If you post something on Facebook and you don't get enough likes, isn't there like an emotional drain specifically?
We're talking every time you get a like, you're basically getting some dopamine shots to your brain, right? So you're getting addicted to those, and if you don't get any or you don't get enough, you start to feel rejection. The Social Dilemma, I think.
Okay.
It's a movie on I think it's Netflix.
Okay.
And it talks about how the dark side of social networking. And the more technology technological a society gets, the more mental health problems we get, because we keep trying to solve problems with technology, and we can't solve social problems with technology.
Well, here you go. The emotional health will be centralized resource center on Facebook apps with tips and information from experts worldwide, including Kids Help Phones and It's Okay to Talk. Mm-hmm. The hub will be available globally with information about your area from mental health officials.
Yeah. I think this is more of a business related opportunity for them, and I think that's what the motivation is. I don't think it has anything to do with social responsibility.
So they have organized with some huge steps to provide stress release, and those are now also available in the WHO Health Alert chat box of WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. On Messenger, you'll find stickers designed from WHO to facilitate conversation about mental health, as well as suicide and self-harm preventions on the app through crisis text line.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
To me, that's too little too soon.
Too soon. Okay, story number 2. Here we go. Nvidia uses AI to make video calls way better.
Now, this is something.
The company has created a new platform for developers and video conference apps. Nvidia Monday unveiled a new platform from the developers of video conferencing apps, which the company says can cut the bandwidth consumed by video calls by a factor of 10. The cloud-native platform, named Nvidia Maxine, it also offers AI effects including gaze correction, super resolution, noise cancellation, and face relighting. The system slashes the bandwidth requirements of the H.264 video compression standard by using AI to analyze the key focal points of every person on the call rather than streaming the entire screens of the pixels. The software then reanimates the face in video on the other side. This is a compression technique that would cut costs for the providers and create a smoother experience for consumers.
Yeah, that's great, especially with all the video conferencing going on right now.
Video conferencing.
And how often I get booted from my Zoom calls because everybody else is downloading and streaming.
Yeah, Zoom is it's not getting better. It's getting worse. So, all right, story number 3. Feds arrest former Amazon employee after company reported him to FBI for fraud. This is hilarious. So I give this guy an A+ for effort. I mean, this guy is creative. Yeah, listen to this.
Well, he created all these dummy accounts.
Yeah,
right?
So listen, Amazon Monday disclosed that a former employee has been arrested for committing fraud against the online retailer. The company says it reported Va An Nien to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. There goes our time. But I'm already in it, so we're good to go. The company says it reported to Van N. Nguyen. That's Nguyen. To the Federal Bureau of Investigations in July 2020 for falsely issuing refunds for products ordered on Amazon.com to himself and his associates.
$96,000.
I know. This is awesome. So he was an employee, selling support associate based in Tempe, Arizona. And what he did is he created a bunch of spoofer accounts, which allowed Amazon employees to view and edit third-party seller accounts. From the accounts, employees were able to manually authorize refunds for items ordered from third-party sellers, which is how the abuse occurred. In the criminal complaint, it is alleged to have committed wire fraud between November 2019 and February 2020 by using his employee access to falsely fraudulent $96K plus in refunds to himself and others.
Yeah, I'm sure other people do that too, but he
got caught.
He got caught big.
These refunds were not requested by legitimate purchasers. That was the key, probably, right? So it's just these fake accounts that were asking it. During the course of this scheme, Wen used the case to use the interstate wires to fund other accounts outside of the United States. The scheme involved approximately 318 unauthorized refunds for orders purchased through 8 Amazon accounts belonging to Wen. The bell has rung. We got through 3 of our stories today. So I almost got through 4, but we got through 3s. And if you want to learn any more information about these items to verify that we're telling you the truth, you can go to www.techtimeradio.com, and the links to each of these stories are listed in our facts section. When we come back, we'll have our weekly segment, Protect Yourself Today. This is our uplifting segment.
Yeah, this is Get Your Drink On Today.
This is Get Your Drink On. That is correct. We'll give an update on cybercrime, breaches, and ransomware. We will also announce our whiskey selection for our pick of the day. If we don't finish it all up before we start this segment. And I would love for everybody to sit back, relax, and enjoy a little whiskey on the side with us as we listen to these commercial breaks.
New Advil Dual Action with acetaminophen fights pain in 2 ways. Advil targets pain at the source, while acetaminophen blocks pain signals. The future of pain relief is here. New Advil Dual Action.
What happens when you combine 2 of the best things together? No, we're not talking about ice cream and chocolate, but we're talking about technology and a little whiskey on the side. That's right. I'm Nathan Mumm, and I'm the host of TechTime Radio. And we are moving to KKNW starting on October 24th. From Saturdays from 4 to 5 p.m., you can listen to our show live. And then you can catch the rebroadcast Thursday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m. The technology show for your commute, exercise, or just drinking fun. Listen to the best 60 minutes of technology news and information. The hosts cover top tech stories with a funny spin.
Is it good? Yes. Is it bad? Yes.
That's pretty much it. We're becoming experts, though. Grab your weekly technology without having to geek out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Only on TechTime Radio on 1150 a.m. KKNW.
That's good. So, Hooked on Phonics worked for you, didn't it?
It did, just a little bit. We talk technology for the everyday common person. Welcome back to the show, Mike. As we had a commercial break there, we're sipping a little whiskey. It is the Eagle Rare. So this Eagle Rare, it is aged 10 plus years. Normally it's about 11 and a half, they say, but it's always guaranteed 10 plus years. 90 proof, $60 a bottle. And this is the only bourbon to ever win the double gold medal 5 times.
Really?
So it has a list of like 60 awards that it's won. It has a little bit of hints of orange peel that I got from the taste.
It's more fruity.
It is fruity.
I don't taste a lot of woodiness in this.
I don't. I taste a little bit of some honey maybe in there.
Maybe.
We will continue to taste that, and we'll see if it gets a thumbs up. Of course, we always like all alcohol, but we are starting to become alcohol snobs as we do this, and so we're going to be a little bit more discreet on whether we like the alcohol or not.
I went out the other day and had a drink, and actually ordered one of the bourbons we've used on this show before.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, wow, okay, all right. And what we have up next is Protect Yourself Today. This is the current news on breaches and cyber attacks and identity theft across the globe.
Protect Yourself Today.
Protect Yourself Today is a 5-minute rundown with the weekly technology breaches or business compromises across the globe. Let's start with story number 1. Story number 1, clothing retailer H&M told to wear a $41 million GDPR fine.
Yep.
So they are the biggest clothing manufacturer in Europe, and they have just been assessed with a $41 million GDPR fine.
Yeah.
They're having trouble staying in business, but now they have to pay $41 million.
Well, they need to stay out of their employees' private business.
That's correct. Employee surveillance violations triggered Germany's biggest privacy fine to date. Privacy regulators in Germany have slammed the world's second largest clothing retailer, H&M, with a $41.4 million fine for violating European Union privacy laws. The fine issued by the Hamburg Data Protection Authority under the EU's General Data Protection Regulation represents the largest privacy fine ever issued by a German regulator.
But
What's that?
Even though it's the largest fine, is it really going to hurt H&M?
Well, it centers on illegal workplace surveillance. The fine levied by German Regional Data Protection Authority comes after a long-running investigation into employee monitoring practices at H&M. The case documents a serious disregard for employee data protection at H&M's site, says Joanne Casper, Hamburg's Commissioner for Data Protection and Freedom of Information. The amount of the fine imposed is therefore adequate to effectively deter companies from violating privacy of their employers. So I know that if I'm employed by a company, that they normally have access to my computer. They have access to my cell phone and what's going on. But for them to levy a fine like this, they must have been doing something completely off the rails.
Yeah. Known of companies that did things like put video cameras in bathrooms and stuff like that. I mean,
really?
Just really off the wall stuff.
So that would be a little off the wall. Absolutely. Story number 2. Here we go. InterPlanetary storm botnet affecting Mac Android devices. Research describe how the malware is targeting broader ranges of devices. A recent updated version of the InterPlanetary storm bot is now affecting Mac and Android devices as well as running Windows and Linux devices. The botnet, which was infected more than 1,300 devices in 84 countries worldwide, continues to grow according to Barracuda. The majority of the infections are in Asia, although some have been spotted in the US, Canada, Europe, and Brazil. The updated version of the botnet attempts to compromise devices through the use of a dictionary attack. So it's a brute force method of guessing password aimed to gain full security access of the SSH server. The malware detects the CPU architecture running the OS of its victims, and it can run on ARM-based machines. So that means it doesn't have to be an Intel-based product, but it can be a proprietary-based coprocessor that is quite common with the routers and other Internet of Things devices. The botnet can be used to mine for cryptocurrency or to start a distributed denial of service attack to other large-scale attacks, the report states. So, story number 3, unable to throw the book at Snowden. So I remember when that Snowden stuff came out. That was like amazing. How was someone going to get all this information about what spying was being done on private citizens and got out there? And all right, so here's what the U.S. government is able to get. So they're not able to get everything that they want, which is kind of interesting, but they were able to grab $5.2 million judgment that says the NDA violations get added to Snowden's permanent record. The U.S. government was not able to arrange a domestic court date for Edward Snowden, but has been working on ways to punish him in other ways.
Yeah.
The latest installment of the long-running drama has seen a federal judge award the U.S. government $5.2 million in proceeds from his memoirs and speaking engagements. So, if you get a judgment for $5.2 million, how are you going to collect that money? I mean, just because you have a judgment against somebody, this is
this is like them trying those folks over in Iran.
Yep.
You know, let's put them on trial even though they're not here. Okay. Well,
so they all are
at
found
least
guilty.
they're doing something. They're wasting our tax dollars on trying people who we can't punish.
There's the buzzer, but we got to finish the story, so that's great. Okay. Edward Snowden violated his legal obligations to the United States, and therefore his unlawful financial gains must be relinquished to the government. Snowden, a 37-year-old former CIA analyst and National Security Agency contractor, arguably stands as the world's most famous whistleblower, thanks to his having leaked top secret documents showing that the post 9/11 U.S. intelligence establishment was running illegal domestic surveillance programs. On September 17th, 2019, which was Constitution Day in the U.S., Snowden published the memoirs called Permanent Record, a play on the American children's myth that if you do something bad in school, it will get on your permanent record. The book immediately became a bestseller on Amazon and also earned a range of notoriety, including the National Public Radio designation as the best book of the year. So Permanent Record chronicles Snowden's decision to bring the big data U.S. surveillance programs to the light by leaking the NSA documents to the news media in 2013.
Right. So the U.S. government is doing something illegal. And this guy who's working for the U.S. government does something illegal
Uh-huh.
to show that the U.S. government is doing something illegal. And now the U.S. government is trying to get payback.
I'm sure he has a regular bank account down at Chase Bank in the local area.
I'm sure he does.
That has $5.2 million in there that they're going to be able to get back.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
We got to do something. He outed us for our illegal activities.
yeah. So,
On the surface, it certainly sounds ridiculous.
yeah. All right. Well, Mike, nothing like blackmail and thievery to brighten up your day. Right? If you think this is scary,
Extortion? Oh, wait a minute.
welcome to the month of October, where we're going to be doing specific episode on Halloween. You know that our radio program is going to be on Halloween because it's on Saturday. So,
yeah.
So we're going to be on Halloween.
I'm not dressing up.
Oh, you're not dressing up?
No.
I'm going to dress up. No, I'm not going to dress up. But we will have our scary, spooky episode. And I already have a bunch of articles that I'm collecting. And
There's going to be a lot of whiskey on
there's going to be
right?
there's a lot of whiskey and there's going to be a lot of scary stuff that will come on out for that article. But stay tuned, because when we come on back from the break, we have a very interesting subject that we're going to be talking about specifically regarding theaters and cinemas. You got Regal fighting against Universal. You got AMC that's kind of hanging out there. You got independent theaters. And I had the chance to talk with the founder of Ticketmaster about a company that he now owns. And we talked for a good 15, 20 minutes yesterday. Mm-hmm. There's a couple alternatives to watching movies on the big screen that we're going to be talking about coming up after these commercial breaks. So I am Nathan Mumm, and we got Mike Roday here, and this is TechTime Radio. So we'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Your business deserves the same expertise as that of a Fortune 500 company. If you need a CIO-level service, why hire a full-time staff member at $250,000 a year when you can get this on-demand service for fractions of the cost? As your CIO on demand, we'll give you the steps you need to take so as to minimize interruption to your business and profitability, and provide you and your business with training and education to prevent future attacks. To get an efficiency review for your business today, contact us at www.ee-services.com.
Welcome back to Tech Time Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm. Mike, during the break, what did you think about our whiskey?
It's tasty.
It is tasty. It is. It's got not a very strong afterburn either.
No.
But it's got a little bit of enough burn that when you're tasting it, it actually goes down, and you can feel that the whiskey is there in itself. Mm-hmm. And this is, again, the Eagle Rare.
Yeah. It's got less of a bourbon-y taste than I'm used to.
Do you like that as a bourbon-y taste?
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Okay. You know what? It's won a lot of awards, so I can see why people like it.
I'm just going to give it a thumbs down for that.
Well, it was that it won a bunch of awards. That's one of what I can see why it has a distinct taste. It's uniquely different than most of the whiskey and bourbons that I've tasted. So,
Right.
All right. So we're moving on to our next segment, and this is our Technology Insider. Welcome to Technology Insider. Get the inside information directly from the source. Mike, welcome to the end of the world for movies. No, I don't think it's the end of the world, but I do think that independent theaters could be the next new fad, considering all the issues that are going on right now.
Yeah, this is horrible.
We got Regal Cineworld Cinemas to close on October 8th. And so you can read probably 8 different articles on this. Some are saying they're closing permanently. Some saying temporary. Mm-hmm. Some saying that they don't know. Their employees, if you ask any of them what's going on, they have no clue. The employees have been completely...
That sounds normal for a
corporation.
Yep.
So it says the movie theaters across the U.S. and UK will shut their doors on Thursday.
Yeah, AMC is toying with that too, aren't they?
They are, but they're kind of staying a little bit kind of neutral, and I think they're going to be kind of sitting and seeing what happens on the back end. So Regal Cinemas and parent company Cineworld Group are shutting their doors for a second time during the 2019 pandemic. In a Sunday tweet, Cinema World confirmed it is considering the closure of the UK and US cinemas, adding that its final decision has not yet been reached. However, today is confirmed that the closures will go ahead on Thursday, October 8th. What's interesting is this all centers around James Bond. James Bond film has been pushed back, and it was supposed to be coming out in the fall. Yeah. It's now pushed back, and so James Bond, the whole cinema fiascos is all Bond's fault. Isn't it awesome that the United States can blame it?
007 has killed the movie industry.
That's right. He kills bad guys and movies.
Licensed to kill the movie industry.
That's right. As reported, the closure will affect 536 Regal theaters in the U.S. and 127 Cineworld and Picture House cinemas in the UK. Mookie Gerdenbar, the CEO of Cineworld, explained that this is not a decision we have made lightly, and we did everything in our power to support a safe and sustainable reopening in the U.S., but that has put us in a place of health versus safety for our theaters. We are especially grateful for all of the proud and hard-working employees have put in to adapt our theaters to new protocols and cannot underscore enough how difficult this decision was. The news comes after the latest James Bond movie, No Time to Die, was pushed from its already delayed November release date to April 2021. Do you know what's going to happen in April 2021? It's going to be the year of movies.
Yeah, there's going to be so many movies, nobody's going to be able to see them all.
So we're going to talk about something that somebody should do. And man, if I had some land right now, there's some things here that I'm going to talk about that I just get giddy over. So, all right. So No Time to Die was pushed back to 2021. There's no word of when cinemas closures may affect the upcoming launches of Pixar's Soul, scheduled for November 20th, or Warner Brothers' Wonder Woman 1984 and Dune, both set for December. But Dune, as of this morning,
Dune's already pushed
back already also. So now Dune is pushed back. So it's either Wonder Woman in December or
I'm pretty sure that one's going to go away too.
I would too. As there is no clear theaters knowing when to open or what to plan for the current unprecedented nature of the pandemic. For now, Regal will continue to monitor the situation closely and will communicate any future plans to resume operations at the appropriate time.
Yeah, this is one of the toughest parts of the pandemic for me.
When the key markets have more concrete guidance on their reopening status, in turn, studios will be back to their pipeline of major releases. So, I've always been a big movie guy. I went to the Sticky movie theaters, and there was this place in Linwood where you could buy a membership card back when I was a young lad in my 17, 18s, and 19s, and every movie was $2. And you would literally hop from movie to movie to movie, and there'd be a guy there, and you'd have a yellow ticket or a red ticket, and I had my little membership card, and I could go to any movie for $2. Man, me and my dates, and I had many different dates, but me and my dates would go there all the time, and it was...
You just meet one for one movie, and then kick them to the curb and meet somebody else for the next one. Is that how it worked?
Well,
I
won't go into that, but there are some unique...
Why are you going to get in trouble now?
Well, my wife and I went to the Sticky theater also, so I did that. But but that was a place to escape. I could go there, and whether it was a good movie or a bad movie, I could be entertained, have a little popcorn, just relax, and I would literally, by the time I walk into that room, forget about the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do. That's one of the things that I miss the most about what's going on right now.
Is movie theaters?
Yeah. I had that AMC...
movie pass thing,
movie pass club.
Yeah,
and I would do that too. I would go to one movie and then go to another movie if I had time.
So I had not the AMC one, but I had the very first one, the movie pass that came out.
Yeah,
and that was phenomenal.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh my word, that was so good. And then it got itself in trouble, and then you couldn't do first releases, and you had to do this and that. But it's very interesting. Let's take a look at how video on demand is doing, though. So we're going to talk about Bill and Ted Face the Music. Okay, it was a rare movie to get both a theatrical distribution and video on demand release at the same time. So far, the theater revenue of the movie has brought in a little bit more than $5 million globally. So that would be considered pretty low on a global order, with little over $3 million of that from domestic theaters. So it's doing much better overseas than it is actually doing in the United States. Domestic theaters, probably less distribution for domestic theaters and more money. In the video on demand revenue, though, the movie has seemed far better, with Deadline reporting the film has made $32 million.
Yeah, but that's being affected by a huge thing.
Video on demand, because we can't go see any other...
Because we can't go to a movie. If this were a normal, everyday day, pre-COVID day,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have this discussion.
You wouldn't have this discussion.
The only reason why this is happening right now is because of our current social situation.
So we don't know if this is really a good number or a bad number, but let's take a look at a couple of things that factored into this. So Bill and Ted's intake for the domestic theater all together have reported to have come up with the video on demand money closer to straight profit versus reported to about the 80% of revenue on the video on demand release. After that, here's what we got. So the budget for the flick was around $25 million, which means Keanu Reeves did not break the movie salary bank by returning to his role as Ted Theodore Logan or Alex Winter playing William B.S. Preston Jr., but the comedy rump did do fairly well considering it was a mid-budget film. It wasn't a high James Bond or Wonder Woman or any of those high-end visual effects or Dune, any of these things that are just spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on post-production and video effects and everything. So video on demand for the overall budget is a profitable sell for Bill and Ted's.
Yeah.
They did that also. Sony did that with the Trolls release, the World Tour, also profitable. But now all of a sudden you have Universal and independent theaters that are deciding that they can go directly on video demand and cut out the theater from there.
Yeah, I think that's going to work right now, but I don't think it's going to work once we start going back out into the normal. I don't know how normal we're ever going to get, but yeah.
So now I had a chance to talk to some private theaters. So I did a bunch of research on this because I'm very intrigued by theaters and I like going and seeing movies. Independent theaters have often forged deep personal connections with their customers, and while they're struggling during the pandemic, their loyal customer base has been a key to survival for most of these new business models. I spoke with Leslie Albertson, president of Apex Entertainment, which runs 2 independent theaters in Louisville, Kentucky. Apex Theaters has opened at a 30% capacity rate, which is what they're legal to do, screening classic films like Jurassic Park and The Goonies to considerable success. So there are some really good, it's amazing, the 80s films, man. So some of these 80s films.
I've watched a whole bunch of 80s films recently.
And all of a sudden now they're also coming back on the network television. They're rebroadcasting a bunch of 80s TV also.
Yeah, we're getting nostalgic for
the good old funny comedies and
for the big hair days.
Yeah, nothing's better than Weekend at Bernie's. If I ever just need to watch a film that has no plot, the best part is when he's out there and he's water skiing, and all of a sudden, look behind and you hear the ding and the bells, and the guys running into the buoys out there. Okay, all right. So I don't believe that. He said he doesn't believe the pandemic will lead to long-term changes for his business. He plans the Apex Theaters operating at full capacity, hopefully in the holiday season or early 2021. And when he spoke, he was very confident in the future of film as a product. It remains to be seen whether business as usual is obtained in the near future. But Anderson believes that he can be more creative in solutions and can recognize theater seating and requiring temperature checks for customers as a standard process. He says it has not been considered any lackluster effect, and everybody has been more than willing to work with theater-assigned seating and temperature checks. He is very interesting to see what type of crowds draw for the tentpole flicks like James Bond and others that he has later in the year or beginning of next year, because he's actually worried that he may have to figure out how to redesign what he's currently using now. So if they don't have solution and we don't have a remedy for COVID-19, what do you do when all of a sudden you have huge lines waiting for a blockbuster film and you can't fill it up? So he's actually worried about that. How do independent theaters take on subscription versus traditional cineplexes? So he goes on and says, here's my plan. So he has a plan, and I like that. Companies like AMC hated the super cheap subscription model app called Movie Pass that disappeared into the oblivion. The owner had a great idea, but
they lost so much money on it.
They did, because they advertised it that you could see a movie a day. And so they literally had people that paid $10 and would want to see a movie a day.
Yeah.
And you can't, the theater can't make money, and you can't make money doing that, especially when you're paying the theater 80% of the ticket value of the movie. But independent, private, small theaters are coming up with technology-based applications that may be able to have the subscription service for their cinemas. So if you take a look at a small cinema, you could say, hey, you want to come out to Apex Cinemas, and this is our 2 chains that you have here. You pay us $15 a month, and we'll give you access to the theaters. For more than a decade, subscription services have been used, but they are new to the movie industry. Later in last year, 2019, AMC instituted the $20 subscription service that allows users to see up to 3 movies per week.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
Okay. As the AMC theaters, along with competitors like Cinemark and Regal, begin to reopen, you can expect to see more investments into services like this, especially for the independents. Maybe $10 per month won't buy you the access to thousands of titles, but what if you continue to screen Goonies and 80s remixed movies in the theater pass for a $10 option for your theaters? This is something that is being looked at by many independent theater chains altogether collectively. So you could see some of these independent chains coming up with an idea to just have here's 20 theaters and you can come and see all the old Goonies and Jaws and Three Amigos and Back to the Future.
I'm sure you could come up with more.
There's just tons of these. I know that there's a cinema out in Monroe that we have, and they do these classic nights like Tuesday and Wednesday nights, and they're an independent theater, and they have those.
There's one down in, I think, Shoreline that
Crest.
I used to go to.
The Crest.
Right, yeah, Crest Theater.
The Crest Theater, and the same thing. So now if some of these independent owners get together, come up with a selection pass, you're good to go.
That's good. I like that because those guys get kicked in the teeth by the corporate.
And all of a sudden now you may have independent studios. They can then, if they need to for distribution, this may change the whole different channel of distribution that is currently used, because most of those independent theaters use a buyer of movies. And so they get these from the buyer and the buyer sends them out. I think it's going to open up these independents to come together and then maybe have some more power with the studios themselves for the releases.
Yeah.
Let's talk about drive-ins. So this is very interesting. Drive-ins are coming back.
Well, duh.
Drive-ins were the thrill in the 50s and 60s. Finding a second or third life during the pandemic was built in a social distancing areas that are nostalgic and familiar. The model for drive-in theaters differs from traditional Cineplex. Usually they operate only during weekends. In warmer months after dusk, that normally means a double feature are the norms. And usually they have the most popular movies to find a home for their services. So they get the blockbusters.
Yeah. I miss drive-ins.
So we used to have one in the town I grew up in, Marysville. It was called the Thunderbird Drive-In.
Yeah.
And it was right off the freeway. And it was really cool is when you drive by the freeway, you could see what was going on without hearing anything. And it was fantastic. And you could load your car up. I don't think you were supposed to, though. I think you were supposed to pay per head. Are you supposed to pay per head?
Supposed to pay per head, but I don't know. I guess it depends. We had one in our small town of Sierra Vista, Arizona. It was called Cochise. I think, what was that? I think it was called Cochise. But that was the first time I saw Star Wars was on the huge screen.
Now they've gotten much better with technology, because back in the old days you had to have that little mono speaker that you put on your you put on inside the glass, right? So you could hear it.
That was like 80 pounds of metal.
Yeah. And if it fell down, you'd ruin your window.
You break your glass.
Yeah, and if you pulled out, it got stuck in it. So they've come up with lots of different areas, but drive-ins won't fully replace the traditional aspects, but that sure does come up with a way to watch some movies that alternate into a different prospect.
Yeah, this is this pandemic gives us an interesting view into social development as we move from one fad to the next, you know, in a normal thing. Now, because the pandemic is coming along, we're actually looking back at other things that we used to do, and
we're kind of going back to it.
It just shows the environmental effects on our fashions and fads.
All right, Red Carpet Home Cinemas. Red Carpet Home Cinema is the luxury service that provides access to new movies as they are released. And I was talking to the owner. That's right, Fred Rosen. Fred Rosen. You got the note. Perfect. And I had a conversation yesterday. So Red Carpet Home Cinema is a unique luxury service offering major Hollywood movies for personal viewing in your home during the theatrical window of a premium price. So the service is available in all U.S. cities. It's designated for wealthy individuals with home media rooms. Requirements are a Red Carpet Home Cinema media server and a static IP address.
Right.
So you purchase a unit. It's about $15K for this rack device that actually sits there as a server.
Tomorrow. I'm going to get it tomorrow.
And hang on. And then what happens is you are permitted, it automatically downloads new releases as they're sent to studios. And you can watch them from anywhere at a price of $500 for a movie all the way up to $1,500 per movie. What are you laughing about? And you can watch it for up to 2 times in a 36-hour window to watch all of your major releases at home. So I used to work in the digital cinema area where I worked for a couple billionaires that had a bunch of cinemas at their homes. And it's called... There's a special group called the Bel Air Circuit, and these people were able to access the digital movies from the studios directly. They'd send them in hard drives, and we ship these all over the world. And then you get the content. You get a special key that you'd put in, and the key would give you access for 36 hours normally. So the same type of deal here, but for 1/8 of the cost of a billionaire for $15K for a device for $1,500, you could watch that new movie at home. So you could create your own home movie theater.
Yeah. My incentive to become a billionaire has just went up quite a bit.
I know, because then you could have it, and
then I could pay that much money for a movie.
You could have people come over to your house and watch the movie for $800 a night, and then you could recuperate all your costs. So you could have 30 people in there. And
that's right. If I have all my billionaire buddies, right?
That's right. So there are alternatives to not having the theaters open.
Isn't that what Netflix is for? Oh no,
well, Netflix doesn't get the new cinema releases. That's kind of the lower end.
They
versions.
They used to get pretty good offerings there.
Yeah, see now
everybody's got it.
So Universal has the Peacock network now, right? Because Universal Studios, so they're gonna give themselves their own distribution, and soon we'll maybe have to wait till Nathan's Nuggets, because I got some ideas about cinemas in the upcoming future. If Nathan's world was based in Nathan's hand, what would he do? Again, we're going to be moving to 11:50 a.m. So let's take a commercial break, and we'll be right back after these announcements.
T-Mobile and Sprint have merged. Now that Sprint is a part of T-Mobile, we have more towers, more engineers, and more coverage than ever before. This is not just a bigger network, it's a better one. And now you can get an awesome network at an amazing price. Welcome to T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network.
Welcome back to TechTime Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm, with Mike Roday, and this is episode 17. Mike, we're going to immediately, after we had some whiskey during our commercial break, go to the Nathan Nugget of the day. This is your Nathan Nugget of the week. So this is a little bit earlier than at the end of the show, but since we had a little break, I want to talk about the movie industry. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
So here's what we got. Is this the new Blockbuster demise, or is it just a temporary change? Are we going to have theaters that open back up again, or are we essentially now have created our own new norm by watching Netflix and all these services on demand that we are not going to socialize? What do you think?
No, I think we're going to have a resurgence of theaters once we get through this particular part of our social climate.
Okay. On today's show, I'm so excited to say that I think that we are going to be looking at our theater industry in our large group settings and of $5 billion industry of independent and independent film companies take off. So I think right now with all these major studios having problems, I think independent studio films are going to start figuring out ways to come up with their own content. And I think we're going to have an influx of independent studios because there's so many ways you can now distribute the content that's available. If you come up with an independent theater, you could go and work a deal out with Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Crackle. There's lots of online streaming services that are looking for content. So I think this is going to increase the industry by having independent filmmakers come up with studios. I'm going to venture that drive-ins are going to be a new leap forward. And I think the drive-ins, the traditional drive-ins that we're currently accustomed to are going to be completely reshaped. I think they're going to become large event spaces. So I've been watching a lot of the sports that go on right now, and so they're starting to have people come and they create these pods where people are coming to the sporting events and they're sitting in a pod. I could envision having drive-ins where you may still park your car outside and come on in, especially in warmer climated areas, where you could be sitting in some patio furniture. You could have a nice protective roof over your head, kind of in more of a patio beach type style, cement block that you rent for a movie, and you can sit out there. And if you want to go to independent food trucks, you could get on up and leave your pad, walk over to a food truck, put your mask on, come on back and have your family or your 8 to 10 people that you have a community relationship with at that movie theater sitting in spots. I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, they do it. They do it in summer.
They do them in summer, and these summer film festivals.
Film festivals in the park and stuff.
Yep. So if you think of that on a larger scale, a more permanent place where you have it doesn't cost a whole lot of money to throw up a white backfield that you're going to do a projector. And nowadays they have so many lenses to increase the projector lengths of those, so you can still get very high definition films. Get yourself a 4K Christie film projector, put a lens on that and broadcast it to a large area, and you can have people sitting around with full stereo sound, working in there and kind of sitting back and relaxing.
You just have to find the space for it.
So I think a lot of places are looking 20 to 30 minutes outside of major cities just for flat land that they're going to be able to put up for that. So I kind of like the idea of pods. And on my...
Oh, is that why you were talking about your yard?
And so a little bit on some of those thinking areas. I think Nathan's nugget of the day is going to be specifically taking care of the pod drive-in. So that is my Nathan nugget.
Okay.
All right. This is your Nathan nugget of the week. And I just love that music. That my Nathan Nugget music. That is so cool. All right. So now we need to move into the best segment of the day, which we call Mike's Mesmerizing Moment.
Mike's Mesmerizing Moment.
This is Mike's Mesmerizing Moment.
I think the most interesting segment today was the Facebook. You know, they're going to be referring people for mental health, and that sounds great, and I applaud the effort, I suppose. But again, it seems like that's something that is more of a business decision rather than a human decision, because we see that Facebook and social media has had a real detrimental effect on society's mental health. Okay. And I'm sure it was not intended that way when they were first beginning, but the more we learn about how it affects human behavior, the more they take advantage of that. So
that's your Mike's Mesmerizing Moment.
Yeah. Were you mesmerized?
I was mesmerized.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mesmerized myself.
Did you? We're going to take a commercial break. So we are going to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back with our pick of the day and closing segments.
We need to finish our whiskey.
We do.
We've all been here before. The conference room, the speakerphone, the missing files. Not in the room? Then you're not in the know. Well, this has been nice, but can we not? Microsoft Teams invites everyone you work with to work together. Be seen, be heard, be there when you're not. Share your files and your opinion, and maybe even a happy little fruit guy. When you're ready to unleash the power of your team, open Teams.
Welcome back.
It just tastes fruity.
It just tastes fruity. Welcome back to Tech Time. People are saying, what is it? Just taste fruity. Welcome back to Tech Time Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm and Mike Roday. And during this commercial break, we were sipping our whiskey.
We were sipping our whiskey.
So we have...
We were more like doing shots.
That's right. What? That was a pretty strong one, too.
That was good.
That was good. That'll wake you up. And now our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbled to the top. So we have the Eagle Rare. Again, it's a 10-year plus, 90 proof, $60 a bottle. Very dark colored bottle so that you don't see. It does have a cork top. Those are like the big things for me.
Yes,
my cork top. That's my little hook, right?
Yeah.
That has won huge awards. There's a whole list of awards. I don't know if half of those are real or not, but hopefully it's not like the JD Power Awards where a company that manufacture cars also gives out the JD Power Awards. That's such a unique
that's
way
like
to
the
get
Oscars.
That's right. Here you go. Congratulations on winning this. Aren't you owned by Ford? Yeah, we are. But we still won it.
We still won.
So this is an Eagle Rare.
I give myself a trophy every time I go home.
Do you go home every time you see? Is it a winning trophy or a participant trophy?
Oh, it's definitely first place.
Okay, it's first place.
Sometimes I throw in a second place just to keep my ego in check.
All right. So now it comes to our decision time. So it's either going to be a thumbs up or a thumbs down. There's no middle thumbs. Mm-hmm. There's a middle finger, but there's no middle thumbs, so we got to do thumbs.
We've had a couple of middle fingers, I think.
We have had some that were, not as well. So, Mike, it's to you. You're going to give it
I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
A thumbs up. All right. And why did you give it a thumbs up?
Because overall, even though it doesn't have that really good oaky taste that I like in bourbon.
Yep.
It has a very smooth flavor and the combination of flavors.
Does it have
make it taste really good?
Does it have an oak taste?
I was overwhelmed more by the fruit.
By the fruit?
Yeah, it's got a very fruity, orangey taste to it.
It does. That's what it says. It has orange peels. It's a part of the process.
That overwhelmed any of the
herbs, honey,
oaky flavor,
leather, and oak. How do you put leather in that? Do you pour it over leather?
Your shoe in there.
You put it on shoe, just hanging out there. My next door neighbor, he makes alcohol, not legally but illegally. But he makes alcohol.
He runs a still, does he?
He does. I won't tell you where I live, but he does a phenomenal job. He goes out and he buys these the barbecuing wood chips.
Yeah,
and he throws them in there, and so you got oak and apple, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that thing is huge. That's huge here.
It is.
I move. I think it's because everybody's depressed all the time.
Because there's no sunlight here.
Because there's no sun.
So we all became very good at alcohol drinkers.
Yeah, I've met a lot of at home
homebrew guys.
Brew and home stilling and.
I grow hops at our house in a plant, and we have a whole bunch of people come on over, and they do wet hops, and so they purchase it. I only got it as a joke because somebody knew I was trying to do homebrew stuff, and so I planted it out in the middle of nowhere where no one would ever see it, and then all of a sudden I took no care of it, and the sucker just comes up all over everywhere, so it just grows. Then of course we spent all these times on these apple trees and all these other things, never produce anything.
Of course,
but you go and you put it in the middle of no man's land and say, see what happens. All right, and I am going to give it, of course, a thumbs up also. I thought it was a very rich flavor palette. I enjoyed it immensely. So that gets us through our pick of the day. And now our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbled to the top. Okay, Mike. Well, guess what? This has come to the end of our episode. This is episode 17. We got episode 18 at Studio 16, and we have a special episode 19. And then by the time we start 20, man, 20 is in the
all live.
It's going to be all live.
We can't be cutting up like we do when we're on break.
That's going to be interesting because that means we're on for a whole hour. It's not like we're on for a 15-minute segment and then we can goof off and say, hey, let's rewind that again, and special signals into the camera or anything like that. We were going to be live. I'm going to have to learn to pronunciate a little bit stronger and read my articles before.
I think that'll be fun.
It will be fun. So we will be on 1150 KKNW. So if you want to go check out their site. We also talked about at the beginning a place to sign up for giveaways that we have from some of our sponsors. If you go to techtimeradio.com, right on the main homepage there is a sign up for our guest list. We've had some people sign up for that, but we are telling all of our fans and friends and families of fans to go and sign up there. We're not going to sell it to a spam area to get your information. If I want to do that, I could probably find it on the dark web about you. So I don't need to do that to get the information.
You're going to be on our Protect Yourself Today segment.
That's right. Compromise breach from TechTime. So it will give you the chance, though, to enter some contests and some live events that we're going to do on the air, since we have an on-air program. All right, so that gives us our episode. I am Nathan Mumm. Thank you very much for tuning into our program. We got Micro Day here. This is episode 17 for the week of October 4th through October 10th, 2020. Everybody, remember, enjoy a little whiskey on the side. Thank you for joining us for TechTime Radio today. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm. Hopefully you enjoyed talking technology and, of course, having a little whiskey on the side. Remember, as we leave, Mumm's the word. Thank you for listening. If you like the show and want to learn more, please check us out at techtimeradio.com or on YouTube or your favorite podcast service. Just look for TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.